Good morning or good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, readers of all persuasions. It is I, Gayla, and welcome back to Book Uncorked and Caffeinated. And as you see, we have a guest today, my mommy.
Hello, everybody.
So, Mom, what do you want to be called during this? Like Miss G, Miss D? What do you want to be called?
Miss Dio do.
Okay, so we're going to call her Miss D. And so I thought this was a perfect day. Today is actually August 2nd, which is one full year I've been on YouTube. So I figured a year ago I put up my first video, and then I figured I'll do like an anniversary video put with my mom, because my mom is my most influential person when it comes to reading. And so I did think this was going to happen, to be honest with you. I asked her would she do a video with me, and she said yes. So I was like, oh, we got to do this right away. So I'm going to ask her about a couple of questions, about 4 or 5 questions about her experience with reading and also my experience with reading. So we're just going to have a little dialogue, and you can comment in the comment section below. So let's start. Ma, what was your earliest memory of reading for yourself?
Okay, growing up in a household with elderly people, because my grandparents raised me, and I had a great uncle who was an author, and he insisted on reading, and so did my grandparents. Believe it or not, they found me easy reading novels from old time literary agents that were great for their time, and I liked things like murder mysteries, bios. They were big on that because they wanted me to know the real deal about slavery and everything that happened to us as a people. But I had to read, and the TV was big in the 50s, but I had times that I could only watch it, and that used to hurt me a lot. But as I got older and older, and reading became like a friend, because no sisters and brothers growing up with me.
Right.
So, and I grew up with all my father's brothers, all my uncles, and I was till about 4 until I realized they really wasn't my brothers. But then going into young womanhood, then I started doing, between that and the greats, like who did, I like the old cinema. I am an old movie buff, so I wanted to know who was what, why did they turn out like that, why would they pick for movies, why we weren't given more things, like Dandridge, why did Sidney get it all, why did Belafonte didn't get what I thought, because I learned later he was civil, right. he was, political,
yeah.
And reading teaches you a lot of who you need to be and what you need to know. So kids need to be brought up with books more than just looking down and texting everybody hello and what you're doing, and crossing the street and getting hit by cars texting. You need to look up and look in people's eyes and see what's going on and pick up a book now and then. People have made statements about if you don't want black people to know what's going on, put it in the book. That's a lie, and you got to make it be a lie.
Well, and she said that and she meant it. So I grew up with that same mentality. Like, I always grew up with books and reading, going to the museums and library. So my next question for you is, what is your earliest memory of us as like mom and daughter reading experience?
At that point, we lived a block away from the museums on Eastern Parkway in Brooklyn.
If you
the Brooklyn Museum.
Right.
So I wasn't that story mom. I didn't watch As the World Turned and blah blah blah.
Not the story mom.
I would put her in the stroller, and we'd go up on the avenue, and we'd go from museum to museum. She knew where everything was at, including their bathrooms. She would jump out the stroller and go to the section she knew her books were in. And I would read her some of my classes and introduce her to the classes that I know should be for her at her age.
Right.
And I would put headphones on her ears every once in a while and let her listen to stories. But The Cat in the Hat, all the series, Dr. Seuss was a big thing. And then we had other things, Madeline, and other things that she read that ended up being classics. So she was a reader. And being an only child, that was her best friend.
Right. Because I also remember the New York Public Library, Grand Army Plaza on Eastern Parkway. And for a long time, I remember I had this book. Can't for the life of me think of the name of the book. I remember it was green. It's a little thicker than I was used to. And I remember when we moved to Fort Greene to here, we still had it. and I don't know what has happened to it now. But it was a book, and I remember it was an old library book. I guess we never took it back, but it was in our collection for a very long time. I don't know if you remember that. It probably was it's in the basement or something. But it was a green book, and it was like a little chapter book. I've always remembered that.
I wish I could zero in on that. I
Right.
really can. Because the house is it's full of books now.
Right.
Gail more so than me. I kept
Right.
a lot of the old stuff that belonged to my uncle. And I have great works from great authors. And I have a lot of Shakespeare and a
Right.
lot of other things that I don't
And we
think.
had some books that got
Yeah.
ruined too. We had a flood in the basement.
Right,
That hurt my
right.
heart because it was like really classics. I'm sure they was worth something. And then I also grew up down a block from Macon Library Branch in Brooklyn. And I remember the librarian. I used to always go in there and check out books and bring them back and like read and stuff. And I remember one day my mom went to the library with me, and the librarian was like, "That's your daughter?" He was like, "Oh my God, I love her. He's like, she's the one kid that actually comes to the library, read the books, mind her business, don't make noise." And for years he would see me and she'd be like, "Oh my God, how are you?" So yeah, that was my local library branch growing up. So I always had books in my life, so it's like a norm to me. Even when my friends, challenged me to start my channel, I was like, for what? I'm gonna read anyway. And they were just like, well, yeah, put it on YouTube. So that's how my YouTube channel got started. So books has always been a part of my life. I know we were talking earlier and you mentioned classics. What book that you read became a movie that you always loved?
Believe it or not, To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, okay.
And the actor was Burt Lancaster, where maybe many of your grandparents are going to remember.
Right.
That was the heartthrob of the 40s and 50s, and it was very, very good about a man being incarcerated for so many years and ended up being not only a humanitarian but to took care of the birds that were in the jail that he was at in Alcatraz. It was
Right.
really good, and I have so many others. I can't remember,
Right.
but there was many. I like bios too, and why you didn't get further in life, and why you did make it, and how you made it.
You mean
And
about the people they were talking
the
about?
people, yeah, and the sacrifices you did make it. Being black in America and not getting your just desserts or getting your just why you got them, and the man next to you that was doing the same you didn't get them.
Right.
Your political rules meant a lot. You had to know about that. It means to read. You have to.
That's
And I
true.
did a lot of reading for pleasure because I love whodunits. I think I'm the only person to watch a murder mystery and
And
laugh for the
laughs.
whole 2 hours because I
It's
can see the humor in it. I can see the realism in it, and I can almost see what's thinking in man's mind why he do certain things. Which to me, before you just click off into insanity, it's funny.
Right. I always have a warped sense of humor because of her. Like, we'll watch stuff, and to the average person, it's not funny. We like, ha, 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 just laughing because we see the humor in it. Because sometimes you got to laugh to
You
not
do.
cry
You do.
and to think about things. The one thing that always fascinated me about you is that you were into comic books. And I don't know if you know this. I used to try to get into comic books because of you, but it wasn't my thing.
Okay.
But what always stood out to me is we were having a conversation and you said you learned how to spell sounds because of comic books. And I thought that was so cool because you never think like to learn how to read a sound or kind of mimic it. And she learned how to spell sounds because of comic books. I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought that was super
And
cool.
another thing that I think, don't get your kids. I know every kid, every genre you got, they have cartoons of some kind.
Right.
I grew up with the really like the 30, well, television being new wave, right?
Right.
And down to Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, all of them. Listen to the music that's in the background of these cartoons.
It's like classics.
Do you know they're all classical music?
Yep. You brought that to
Bach,
my attention.
Beethoven, Chopin, Handel.
Yeah.
You listen to a cartoon. Don't that music sound familiar to you if you are in the ages of 30, 40, or 50? Because I went to a concert. I saw it. You know who that is? That's
Right.
Beethoven.
Right.
All the cartoons.
Right.
And the background music.
Right.
It's classical music.
I think that's super
Even
cool.
Betty Boop.
Right. I think that's super cool. And I think that's the reason why I like books and music. And music for me, because you and Dad were music people, so I grew up with like all the stuff. My mother always said she should have been born in her mother's time for music, and I always say I should have been born in her time when it comes to music. And I know there have been a lot of times music come on and you like, how do you know that? I'm like, because you played it 13 million times when I was 5. I should know this song. So music for me are like markers for my life. Like when I hear music, I'm like, oh, I was in college, or I was a young person, or like my dad was alive and stuff like that. So music for me is the same thing that books is for me, is markers of time. And that's what I kind of hear you say about what you've read and being up to date and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm gonna spring this question on you because I want your authentic reaction. So I'm gonna read it like I wrote it, and I want you to give me your answer.
Here we go.
Do you think audio books are reading? Is reading?
I actually, I'm a little torn. And Gayla, you caught me good, and I'm gonna get you for this one, because when she on her way home, and I keep her company on the telephone, she said, I said, what were you doing? I was listening to my book. That sentence doesn't do anything for me. And sometimes I would hang up from her, and she called me back laughing. But it's a form of reading.
Yes,
It is a form of reading. So, as a matter of fact, it's a form.
Ears.
You know what? It's reading with your ears, and it's speed reading.
Yes.
Because yes, it is. It may not be my choice, and then again, who knows? Because I did get caught one time in the biblical one.
Oh,
and I
okay.
found myself doing it maybe once or twice a week, and I felt a little shame because I wasn't taking time actually
Like
reading the
the
book.
word, right.
And I think that's what it is. I think I felt myself being shamed. That could be it.
Right.
That
I
could
don't
be
know if
it.
you remember this. Remember we took that cross-country trip to Colorado, and on our way back, I did an audiobook?
Yes.
So I remember that was kind of like my intro. This was like 2019,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and we went to go visit family in Colorado. And on the way back, I said, Ma, I was in the middle of reading this book. I was like, Ma, would you listen to this book with me? And she was like, all right, whatever. I don't know if you remember. So we listened to it. We got to a point, and we stayed overnight, whatever state we was in. And the next morning we got up. So I had put the radio on. And you said, what happened at the book? She wanted to finish the book because she wanted to see what happened. And I thought that was so cool because that was like the first time she did like a real audio book, like intentionally.
Right.
And so I put the audio book back on, and we actually finished it on the trip back. And I thought that was super cool. But she had got caught up in the story. I don't remember what story it was. I got to look on my Goodreads or Storygraph to see what I was reading at that time. But I thought that was interesting. But she always gets on me about, I'm like, I'm going to listen to my book. And she be like, all right, whatever. But, yeah, I just wanted to jump on here and kind of celebrate and not necessarily talk about, like, book hauls or what I've bought lately, which I will come up to do. And my next video will be about my July reads. But based on, like, my 1 year being on YouTube, I wanted to bring on my mom, who was, like, my biggest influence on reading. She's my biggest influence on everything. I always wanted to be like my mom, even wearing glasses. Now that I gotta wear glasses, I don't know about that.
I told her, watch it on that one. Watch it on that one.
I remember I wanted glasses when I was little because she wore glasses, and I wanted allergies. I don't know. Whatever it was about my mother, I wanted it. So that just means I love you.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
You actually have done maybe about 10 things that I was supposed to do and being brought up, and I beat myself up, which you stopped me from doing. You did a lot of things that I asked you to do. You've done it, and you've completed it, and I'm really proud of you.
Oh, lucky. So, yes, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I'll see you in the next video. Oh, do all the things. Like, comment, subscribe. I need some more subscribers, guys. I'm almost at 100. I think I might do a little giveaway, too. So, comment in the box below, and I'll leave... If you watched it to this point, drop a little book emoji to let me know that you watched it thus far. Subscribe, share, comment, and I will see you in the next video. Deuces. Bye.